This is the Silt versus role-playing game Family Ties, Part 2. In Part 1, we met our custodians. They actually got a fair amount of investigating done, uncovered 5 clues on the current assignment. And I owe a few clues still from last time, and so I will tell you what those are as we begin play. Taking a look at the characters in terms of conditions, everyone's in pretty good shape. Japheth does have mouth abscesses gained from Dennis, and Zeph Harrow is being watched. The last thing we saw with the characters is Basil had just seen like a vision after eating some of this like fungus god that is growing near the meat processing plant, and then Japheth had just taken on some mouth abscesses from Dennis Rigsby, a worker at that plant, but this was outside of one of the diners and in a back alley, and you had just been confronted by Sister Quarrel, a poxmonk with whom Dennis has a fraught history. She rolled up on her motorbike, and we're going to talk about her more in a bit. Zeph Harrow was investigating the perimeter of the meat processing plant, and Gage Wright is being taken to Skelton Ranch by a gentleman whose name is Ridley. I don't remember if that's the first name or the last name, though. Ridley Hemsworth, a hunter, friendly guy, taking Gage out to the Skelton Ranch. I do owe you some clues, and so I'm going to go ahead and just say what those clues are. I don't think we need to role play them. I'll just tell you what you found. So one thing you will have noticed about Dennis Rigsby, Japheth, is that while you were taking the abscesses into his mouth, you noticed he has a severed pig's foot in the pocket of his jumper. An unusual detail. I mean, he does work at a meat processing plant, but having a pig's foot in your pocket is strange. Another thing is that when Sister Quarrel rolls up on her motorcycle, you will notice that she has down and litter wedged in the tires of her bike.
Question about that litter. Are we talking like cat litter or like pieces of paper?
Like just like detritus, like
Okay, all
yeah,
right.
like
Doesn't
yeah.
matter. All right.
And Zeph, one thing you'll notice, a weird detail that stands out in this otherwise like kind of industrial space, is the workers or someone has hung up handmade wind chimes of scrap metal and glass, seemingly as an alarm. And so all of your clues are now in and accounted for. Mark new elective end of session questions if you wish, or leave either or both the same. Do we have any moves that resolve at the beginning of session? Very well. Then, since we have fewer than 3 assignments, I will introduce a brand new one. You can follow along on the assignments tab of the Character Keeper. It is called the Floating Market. Fragments of black market divinities have been appearing among the goods sold at the floating market, a free-for-all bazaar that gathers at abandoned docks and fishing piers along the White Gull River. While such gatherings generally happen under the radar of the local authorities, the custodians have been informed that the goods arriving along the river present an increasing danger to the inland population. The Bureau report flatly states that the nature of the divinely afflicted wares being sold are not something that can be left to the Greater Glottage Police to handle alone, given a surge of recent corruption investigations. I will now direct the following to a custodian who has had the most run-ins with the authorities. We don't necessarily know who that is, but who has an idea it might be them? Based off the homework you did last time, going through your stuff. Zeph, do you think it's you? You don't have to explain yourself, but I'll ask the question to you. Why do you suspect that no one actually intends to shut down the floating market, but that several groups are vying for control of the market themselves?
I think that with my run-ins with law enforcement, and especially speaking to the corruption, that it is very likely that there are actually two forces in law enforcement warring back and forth. And it depends on who arrests you on what day and who you can actually side with in what is essentially a turf war. There might be criminal elements also at play trying to divide the cops, but it's definitely whoever arrests you, you have to make the right sign and get on the right side.
Intriguing. You have one question to start here. Which illegal product presents the most serious danger to the public? It's a complexity too. And the opportunity, if you answer it correctly, is to learn where to focus the investigation and then unlock the remaining questions. You also have a new verse that's available to be used whenever you need to write a verse and you are investigating the floating market, which is called the verse of promised deliverance. Each custodian recalls an advertisement for a divinely branded product and the benefits it promised that seem too good to be true. Now, here is a good opportunity to learn a little bit more about how the game works. So right now you are all at the Dusk Mother assignment. You are all in the investigation phase. Generally speaking, you're always in the investigation phase, unless you wish to travel to another assignment. So at any point, if one or more custodians decides they want to leave Weft and go to find the floating market at its current location to begin that investigation, those custodians will be in the journey phase. And it's a different phase of play. It is one of the only ways to clear conditions. And essentially, it's an opportunity to see a little bit of the landscape, to learn a little bit more about the world, and to learn a little bit more about the custodians themselves. And so you can take off from Weft whenever you want to go look at this other assignment as you wish, or you can keep hanging out in Weft doing this assignment. But as in all CFB games, if there are more than one active scenarios and you just leave one to sit for a while, it starts to bubble up and build up and get more problematic. So with all that said, we Gage, I mean, I know where we're headed, so I don't think I need to ask you what you want to do. I think I know what our next scene is. We're going to get to the Skeleton Ranch. Zeph, I will check in with you. You found these wind chimes. Workers are starting to show up now at the meat processing plant. Basil, same thing. Workers are starting to show up. I want to find out what you're interested in doing. And Japheth, we have a scene planned for you and Sister Quarrel and Dennis Rigsby. And so I think I want to start with Sister Quarrel, actually. So Sister Quarrel has pulled up on her motorcycle. She has windswept gray hair, a white scarf, and black leathers. Travel bags prominently feature the Poxmartyr's crest. She's riding an old motorcycle that looks like it runs purely on miracles. You might even know her by reputation. She's served her God in 100 ways and has a scar or blemish to show for each one. She's known to thrive on the contemplative passage of the open road in between local visits. She pulls up. She calls out to you. Is that a fellow sufferer that I see?
Oh, aren't we all sufferers? Some more than others.
She puts her hog kickstand down and swings her leg over. And she says, let me guess. You have been facilitating a divine blessing from the pox martyr onto this completely unworthy individual right here.
The worth of a person is going to change, don't you feel, Sister Coral? It can change based on their actions, based on their the ardor of their beliefs. And I feel like Brother Rigsby here is he's at a moment where he can make a great change in his own faith. Have patience.
Yeah. What if I told you that Brother Rigsby is a low down, lying, dirty snake crawling around on his belly, trying to wriggle into any hole that will have him. What if I told you, and she's now strafing around the two of you,
Nice.
that Brother Rigsby says one thing out this side of his mouth and then does another thing when you go down south? Dennis says, now, Sister Quarrel,
Yep.
you know that I am a man of the world, he says in his little work jumper with his name on it. I am a man of the world, and I have needs. I have needs beyond just communion with my gods. I have needs that are much more, how shall I say, terrestrial in nature. You're in the middle of something here, Japheth. What do you do?
Yeah. I just say to the kind of to neither of them, to both of them, sort of within that gap in between, say, this seems like this has gone back quite some ways, but today's a new day.
She turns and she grabs you by your lapels. Do you have like a shirt or something? Like, what are you wearing?
Yeah, like a little overall.
Oh, yeah. She grabs you by your little overall straps. And she says, listen to me, old man. I can tell you've walked a long, hard road for the poxmartyr. I can tell that you have taken on many, many afflictions. And I respect you. But tell me, do you think you have it within you to take on the affliction of being a low-down, lying, cheating, dirty dog? Because if you do, this man needs your help.
I have to ask an out-of-question character. My understanding of the poxmartyr is a bit more physical affliction than emotional.
It is, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
just wanted to make sure.
Sister Quarrel's not here for this dogma, though.
Yeah. I say there are many afflictions we can take unto ourselves, but at times the healing's got to come from within, and this one might be something that you and Dennis can sort out.
I want to do the veiled move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you can't convince Sister Quarrel of Dennis Rigsby's worth?
She might punch me right in my abscessed mouth.
Ew, gross. I love it. It's good. Okay, go ahead and roll with what's our presence, please? Yeah.
Presence, all right.
And I think because of your abscessed mouth, I think it's probably like making it hard for you to talk. You're in a little bit of pain.
Yep.
Maybe not as convincing as you could be. So roll.
So you're saying
roll
disadvantage?
Disadvantage as well. Yeah.
Darn it! I had a 9, but it's now, what is that? A 6.
A 6. Oh, she just says she says, "Oh, I got an affliction coming in. It's a real hot one right now, brother." And she just swings and like smacks you in the jaw, and you can feel the abscess burst in your mouth, and a little bit of that white pus goes dribbling down your throat, and you fall down. I'm going to give you, I think she knocked the shit out of you. I'm giving you a busted jaw. You can't even talk anymore, and you're in a lot of pain.
All right.
And then she puts her hands on Dennis Rigsby. And Dennis Rigsby is like trying to plead with her. But she just like, yeah, I think she just like hauls back and punches him too. And then she gets on her bike and she rumbles away.
I'll kind of mumble out into the dust for Dennis, saying, aptly named, isn't she?
Indeed she is. And we'll cut away from there. Zeph, what do you want to do once you start seeing workers coming into the Hopworth Industries plant and you've pretty well scoped out the outer perimeter, I think.
I have no interest in dealing with the public today. So I think up over the fence from whence I came, still investigating. I wonder if I couldn't see some sort of pattern in the claw marks to see if it's
Hmm.
come through the forest or trees and kind of get a direction.
Oh, I see.
of-
So you're going to head out to
like,
the actual tree line.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm into that. Go ahead and make the yeah, just go ahead and make the information move with I can't remember what's the right I think insight, which is a good
Mhm.
roll for you. I do think, however, that there are probably workers and security people who are starting to wonder what you're doing out here, and
Mhm.
so I'm going to put you at disadvantage for being watched.
Hooray. Well, a 5 plus, is it a 2 for me?
I think so.
7?
Okay, so it's not
Clear?
so bad.
Yeah.
Not so bad. We'll come back to this. Basil, what are you doing?
I think what I'll say, like, I don't think Basil's head is really in the game here. Um, but I don't think it makes narrative sense for him to leave yet. But I think he's gotten the taste of this god, and like his brain is calculating recipes right now. And so that floating market sounds really appealing to him. But for the time being, I think he's just going to sort of like mingle and see if he can um sort of like mingle his way into the plant.
Oh, like trying to be like you're a worker?
Not just, I think just being really like, hey, I'm from Biased, I'm from the Bureau,
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah.
we're just checking things out. I've heard some reports, and I'm a specialist when it comes to food stuffs, and so I just want to get a closer look, make sure that everything's up to snuff inside.
Do the veiled move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
Um, what am I afraid? Um, I think maybe that this like will sort of like clam up the plant if they find out that the Bureau is here and investigating things and that type of thing.
Oh,
Like they just don't want us like even it may not have anything to do with the Dusk Mother, but essentially that this is going to get closed off, which could be a problem if this is the source of the problem.
I like it. Go ahead and roll the veiled move with presence.
Okay. 7 plus presence is 0, so 7.
I think yeah, it's going fine. I'm gonna give you the being watched condition as well. Basically, I think like there's probably like a foreman or something who's willing to let you come in, and they are having troubles here. They are being tormented by this stray angel, and they know what biased is, of course. But nevertheless, they probably don't do everything up to peninsulan code out here. So maybe they want to make sure that you don't see something you're not supposed to see, or maybe there's something else going on too. Who knows? But take being watched as a condition. But otherwise, you are able to get in and walk around the plant as you wish with that
Cool.
slight restriction. Let's figure out what Gage is up to. Gage, do you want Ridley to come with you or just show you the general direction?
I got the impression that Ridley was going to be too wary to follow, but if he's willing to provide company, that wouldn't go unwelcome.
Yeah, I think he's a nice guy. You're a nice guy. You've shared a cereal bar together. You're 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 making connections here. It's all good. I think he'll take you over to Skelton Ranch. The Skelton Ranch is withered orchards hemmed in by towering forest, a collapsed barn, a stagnant pond. You see various sheds overgrown with vines and full of junk from what you can tell. And in the center of it all is a two-story lodge of stone and timber. Let's paint the scene, everyone. The Skeltons have clearly left their farm to rot, but somehow managed to survive on the land. What surprising elements of the property have they maintained with care?
Just to the south of the farmhouse, you can see a well that looks like it has been very precisely patched over the years and smoothed out, and everything what you would expect the rotting boards to be like seems like fresh timber cut for the pail to go down.
Sir, did you say a well? I feel like I missed one word. Okay.
I think there is evident care taken of the family burial plots behind the farmhouse. The lawn is even and weedless, and all of the stones are clean and well maintained.
I think the mailbox is in pristine condition, well painted, clean. What makes it odd and what makes it kind of stand out is that the mailbox itself is just like overstuffed with envelopes and mail, but it's very clear that somebody like washes and cleans this, even though there are probably months and months, if not years, of mail stuffed inside of the mailbox.
I've got a family tractor that's just, it's old, but it's covered in so many prayer marks. It's keeping itself together. And it's got one of those scooper things for efficiently digging graves attached to the front, and the blades on that are nicely cleaned.
Fantastic. Ridley says, well, Gage, I've gauged the situation, and I think this is where I'm gonna have to let you go, friend. But come find me in my stand or in town, and yeah, we'll have either way. We'll have a cup of coffee.
That sounds mighty fine. And he'll give him a firm handshake and say thanks for your guidance here.
Best of luck with them. And he goes off. So what do you do?
I think after walking past that tractor with a clearly appreciative expression on his face, he's going to just kind of circle the house before making his way to the front door and do this right.
You can go ahead and make a information move with, I think it's probably going to be insight. Yeah, insight.
That's 7.
7. As you are circling around, you will get a clue, which I'll give you in a moment, but you'll also see someone out chopping wood, adding stoves to the pile. It's a middle-aged man with a wild beard and even wilder eyes, a torn flannel that might have once been orange. Despite his frame, he seems pretty strong. He hasn't taken notice of you yet. As you are moving around the property, I regret to inform you that you are stepping into a bear trap right about now. You are going to take a very, very nasty condition. Well, I don't know, it could be even worse than that. You might require a roll. No, we'll just go straight for condition. But if you want to not cry out, that's a roll. So what do you do? Unless you're gonna, of course, write a verse and avoid this entirely.
No, I think I'll take it. Let's check on the skeleton's hospitality.
Let me give you your clue first, the thing you would have noticed. You see just outside the perimeter a spilled sack of Chitterling's brand hallowed hog feed, promising rapid regrowth for a bountiful feast, guaranteed. I will clip that for you. Put it in the clues. And then you step on this trap, and I think it's real fucking nasty. I think I think it's going to make it impossible for you to walk on that leg. It just like, and just, and like you can like, it just tears through flesh and muscle and even chips the bone a little bit. You cry out. You just take injured leg as a condition. And that's where we will leave you for now. Let's go back over to Japheth. Japheth, Dennis Rigsby apologizes for you getting in the middle of that and thanks you for helping him with his ailment. But he has to get to work. So where do you go from there?
I'm gonna try and cajole him into helping reset my jaw real quick. I say, can you just help for a minute? I can push real hard right there.
Yeah, I think you can do that. I mean, I think you're still going to be bruised and swollen up pretty
Sure.
bad, but yeah. Then what?
I like the image though of having pulled the abscesses from his mouth. Now they're in mine. Then I get punched, making him touch my jaw again. Sort of
It's just a loop
right,
back and forth forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, where to from there?
If you need some leads, I can give them to you as well. There's also the floating market too, if you want to just get the hell out of here.
No, I'm fine digging through Weft a little bit more. Gotta remember where the town was described. There it is. Oop, I think I just passed it up. I think can I just meander down Main Street and see what stands out, see if there's anything that shows that the Dusk Mother's predations have spread beyond the meat plant, or like, are people barring their windows or stuff like that?
Yeah, like that. Go ahead and make a yeah, you can go ahead and make the information move with insight. Neither of your conditions actually applies here.
That's a 9.
9. Okay, so I owe you a clue. We'll come back to that in a bit. Zeph Harrow, I owe you a clue. What'd you get in your die roll, Zeph? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I got a 7.
A 7. Okay, great. Thank you. You wander about for a little bit in the tree line, and you come across a vehicle, a car, wedged in the branches of a tree, headlights still aglow. Quite a striking thing to run into. Furthermore, and here's the problem, the car is covered on the inside with spores. The driver is covered with growth, fungal growth all over their body. I think you open the door before you realize what's going on, and you're just hit by a cloud of these divine spores. This is going to be the revelation move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail right now?
Zeph has been thinking to themselves about how Basil is just going to end up with a divine fungal lung infection and coughing up spores in the car while we're riding from place to place. And then
the irony,
that's exactly what I'm now is like, oh no, the irony.
It's worse than that. You are going to be completely consumed by these spores and this fungal god. So please go ahead and roll with, how do you try to resist it? I guess that matters here.
I think being caught completely off guard, I have no choice but to try and physically like duck out of the way and either fall or, cover my face to try and not get
roll with vitality.
That is double sixes. That is so good. That is a 12 flat.
I like it. That's really good.
Me too.
Please go ahead and mark fate on a long and lonely road.
Yes.
The maiden intended for you to find this body in the car. The maiden is never far from you. Indeed, you can glimpse her deeper in the woods, just between wafts of spore cloud. The cairn maiden attends to all of us by the end. The god that took this person has no more power over them. The maiden wants you to remove this body from the car, clean it, and give it a proper burial. If you complete this task, you can unmark a fate box. What do you do?
Zeph is coughing and trying desperately to wipe their hands on their own leathers to get the spores and the stick off of themselves, and frowns, furrows their brow, and stares at the maiden. And then slowly lowers themselves down the branches to get back to terra firma and walk away. No intention of doing anything she asked.
Very good. I love it. Fuck the cairn maiden.
For now, anyway.
For now, anyway. Yeah. Let's check in with Basil.
Can I ask a quick game question with the fate boxes for the cairn maiden? If none were marked and this was called upon, would you be able to sort of bank that for later, the unmarking?
So basically, you only get the task if a box gets marked. So, yeah.
By choosing not to fulfill this, I will be down a box, and I resign my character after that tract is full. So eventually I'll have to make choices to unmark them just for self-preservation.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically it. And the tricky thing is, like, can I give you a cairn maiden task without a box getting marked? Because if you only get the task when the box gets marked and you don't do a task, it means you're kind of always in the hole one, right? In a certain sense. I suppose you could always come back and try to bury this body. That's what the journey phase is for. You can always journey back to Weft. So you might want to make a note about how to ultimately satisfy what the cairn maiden wants you to do.
Box number 1. Weft spores.
Indeed. Basil, inside the Hopworth Industries plant, I think we already talked about some of this, but there are distant feedlots and warehouses behind barbed wire fencing. You see trucks rolling in, adorned with commercial prayer stamps of the chitterling, droning machinery, interrupted by the occasional squeal. Even now, before work has really begun for the day, the visceral aroma of manure, blood, and chemicals is quite, well, visceral. I think we talked about already how this facility operates with little oversight, but I would like to just get a little bit more insight from you, Basil. From the inside, how can you tell they operate with little oversight? That's just from Basil.
I think that there's just like sides of whatever they're slaughtering just like lying on the floor in places, like in piles, as opposed to necessarily like hanging to be sanitary, that they've just stuff is kind of like flung wherever. There's probably viscera amongst meat, and maybe it all goes into the same pot eventually, but yeah, it's a little disarming to see it mixed together at this point in the process. the earlier points in the process.
How does it make you feel?
I think there's an element of Basil's coming into the plant with, I mean, in the bureau report, there's this whole thing about the angel. Maybe it's the angel, like it's not, there's a tax on the plant, whatever. Is it the angel or not? I think Basil's even a little skeptical of it.
Mm-hmm.
But that again, like just like the taste of the fungal god is on his mind, and he's looking for um a way to turn that into a recipe, into a dish. And it's not quite connecting. Like we talked earlier about Basil just writing recipes just nonstop whenever he tastes something. And you can tell from the way that the look in his eyes that he's pondering. And so I think he's feeling a little disappointed as he sees this because he's like, oh, I don't know if the ingredients are of high enough quality for me to be able to make something that's fitting of cooking with a god.
Take the condition saveur de viande.
All right.
Or meat savor, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
As you're roaming around the plant. What do you do then?
You
can tell people are kind of like keeping an eye on you, but no one's bothering you though as you're moving around. Yeah.
And I think I'm probably making like casual conversation here and there as well. Maybe even rolling my eyes about like, oh, the bureau's making me come here. Like it's don't worry though, I'm cool. I want to go straight to the slaughter floor. And I think that there's sort of like the dual purpose here of A, that'll get me to the ingredients before they've been soiled, and B, there might be something unique or strange that is being slaughtered here that would be attracting whatever is attacking, presumably the angel, whatever.
We'll come back to this. Gage. This older man comes running, and maybe he laid the traps out for bears. They are bear traps. But instead of a bear, he found a large, burly, hirsute man inside his trap, screaming in pain. And he's like, well, what in tarnation? And he goes and he's got like a crowbar or some kind of metal bar that he's using to pry the trap open. He's like, what in the hell are you even doing out here?
Pleasure to meet you, friend.
Come on. Can you walk? I guess you can't walk on that leg. Here. And he tries to like get underneath you to kind of, so you can use him as a crutch to hop. He's like, well, come on inside. And he's like, trying to take you in, and he gets you inside the house, and you hear a woman who comes kind of running to the front. She has very deep, sad eyes. She's like a overdressed doll with a lace shawl poked through with dried flowers and feathers. She says, Brother, what is going on here? Well, sister, this fella right here stepped into one of my bear traps. And they're bringing you in, and they're setting you down. It's a whole thing. You see another man dressed in a trailing bundle of robes and sheets, jumping from banister to banister on the stairway, and then eventually jumping on top of the table. where you are laid out. He looks at you with kind of like really interesting eyes, and he says, "Well, this is certainly not how I thought today was going to go."
Oh, believe you me. Me neither.
And he then leaps to the back of the couch and then leaps over to the back of a big old chair and then leaps back up the banister. And he says, "I'll be in my nest." And he goes back upstairs. And they're trying to tend to you and they're doing all this stuff. And sister says, "Well, I can see cousin's not going to be any help with this," as cousin hops back upstairs. "Brother, go check on baby." He's like, all right. I'll take care of this one." Brother goes to the back to deal with baby. And she's like cleaning your wound and she's trying to like wrap a bandage around it. And she says, "Well, what were you doing
Oh,
creeping around our property in the first place?"
Oh, sure, you're not creeping. Just making my way to the front door. I am terribly sorry for the inconvenience.
"Well, that's all right. Mother will bring dinner soon. You can eat with us while you recover."
Oh, that's truly generous of you. My name is Gage.
Well, and she kind of like straightens up, comically almost, just but considering your state. And she says, "You can call me Sister Skelton." And she holds out her hand daintily.
I imagine Gage will shake it and leave, not inconsiderate amount of blood on it.
She looks at it and she carefully takes off the lacy glove she had on there. And
Oh, I'm so sorry.
she's like, "That's all right. One has to make allowances for one who finds themselves in such a state."
Indeed. Do you get a lot of bears around here?
Bears and other things, I suppose. Brother is not too keen on outsiders, I'm afraid.
Oh, well, he was quick enough to come to my aid, so I appreciate it.
Well, we're not barbarians out here, friend.
No, of course not. Of course not. I could tell from that lovely tractor you have out here.
I do have to feed baby soon. Let's get you all wrapped up. And eventually she'll settle you down into a chair. She'll bring you a hot cup of something. You can hear rattling around upstairs, cousin jumping and moving things around and landing on things. Kind of a commotion.
Well,
And deep in the house, you just hear, "Baby!" Sister leaves you to it. She says, "I'll come back and fetch you when it's time for dinner." She goes. What do you do?
oh boy. I think I mean I'm here looking for proof of a God's presence or an angel, so I'm going to try and scour the area around me, see if there's hidden prayer marks or.
Oh, intriguing. Go ahead and you can go ahead and make the information move with communion. And I think at disadvantage because of your injury.
Disadvantage is 6.
Yeah. You hear bum 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 on the floor. Bum 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 bum. And then you see crawling on the floor a person with a nest of dirty blonde hair, obscuring all of their face, except for a very, very toothy maw. Baby. This person is a grown person wearing a diaper. Baby. And they crawl up to where you're sitting. Baby.
Oh, well, pleasure to meet you.
Baby.
You like sweeties?
Baby.
I think he's going to pull out a Jolly Crunch bar.
Baby. And baby skeleton snaps his teeth on your wrist, sinking his teeth into your hand and tendons and biting down hard. I'm going to give you injured hand as a condition as well.
I think I'll write a verse for this one.
Oh, you can roll. Oh, you're going to roll dice to avoid the 6. Got it. Yeah. You're going to write verse of history or verse of prophecy, or the communal verse,
How about that one?
which is the verse of the dreaming nest.
I think I will go for the verse of prophecy for now.
Very well. What are you going to mark on it?
The whispered psalm.
What happens on the whispered psalm? Actually, I think,
am
do you have to
too-
mark these in order, I guess? I'm not sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Yeah. Let's read it just for people who are curious. The whispered psalm says, narrate a flashback to the time you were initiated into the rites of harvest on your family's farm. Do you want to do that now? Do you want to wait?
I think I'll wait.
Very good. I owe you a clue, and instead, baby just crawls up and is making cooing baby noises on you, but does not bite. But I do owe you a clue. Let's check in with Japheth. Japheth, what'd you get in your die roll?
Oh goodness, what was it? An 8, 9? It was a 9 if I
think it
remember
was mid. Yeah, it was mid result, I'm pretty sure. You're looking around the town. Interesting. You actually see periodically, especially in the more like residential parts of Weft, such as they are, hand-painted signs warning trespassers, quiet, mother sleeps, or mother protects us, or the classic printed in bold yellow, warning, these premises patrolled by a licensed guardian saint. I will paste that in.
By the way, can you remind me, are we all the gods that we're strongly affiliated with, are all of them illegal?
No.
Okay. Are any of them by definition illegal?
Certainly Sweet Jolly Crunch Tooth is not. That's one of the major gods of the setting. Karen Maiden, I don't know if the illegal is the right way of putting it, disfavored. Nobody wants to think about death. The Waxen Scrivener, definitely 100% illegal god. And Pox, the Pox Martyr and Karen Maiden are kind of the same boat, like necessary but distasteful, right?
Got it.
You know? The Waxen Scrivener, outright illegal, criminal faith.
Good. Well, from here,
well, I owe you a complication.
Oh, right, sorry.
Or a cost. And I think what I'm trying to suggest with this clue is that this situation with the Dusk Mother might be deeper than just the skeletons. There might be more going on in the community than all that. And I think you are also at this point, you'll notice mini blinds closing quickly, curtains being drawn whenever you walk by, but clearly with enough gap left for somebody to watch you. I'm also going to give you a being watched condition.
Sounds good. It's just one of those things where the street's pretty much empty right now.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah. Partially for the auditory echo of it, partially to emphasize the loneliness. I'm gonna walk up to just like an empty soup can laying on the street, give it a boot and let it just and kind of echo. Put my hands in my pockets and just look around. It's almost like I am willing to stand here until someone comes out and talks to me. I'm not in a hurry. And I'm gonna lean up against a post and just sort of watch back in a way. Like I'm not watching any specific thing, but I'm sort of like waiting for the town to come to me.
Someone strokes the back of your neck.
Oops.
Shh.
I will.
Don't turn around. Oh. Take this. And they press something into your hands. It's from somebody who wants to be your friend. And then they turn and you can hear them walking away.
Excellent. I will kind of cautiously look down at what's in my hand.
It's a really, really high quality first aid kit.
Fantastic.
No, not a first aid kit. It's a box of really expensive like salves and ointments.
I thought you were going to say breath mints for a minute.
No, salves and ointments, like for tending wounds,
All right.
antiseptic, that kind of thing. You can add it to your altar.
Will do.
But there's a note that says, sometimes the situation calls for less divine interventions. And it is signed, but I have to go look, see who it's signed by, because I can't remember. It's signed with kindest regards from the Sketterich Foundation.
That sometimes things require interventions that are not divine.
Yeah, I think they're basically saying that, like, sometimes just some salve is all you need. You know, to call upon gods. With kindest regards from the Sketterich Foundation. If somebody wants to note this is your first conspiracy clue. Let's take a 5-minute break. Okay, we're back. I do want to check in really briefly and say that you currently have 9 clues, one of which I still have to give you, but 9 clues is a pretty good amount. On the first question especially, you only have a complexity 2 here, which is, where is the angel's nest located? Do you all want to make a go at that? Because that might give you like your next lead, but...
Yes, Sarah was just going through.
Do tell,
the
Sarah.
theory.
What do you think?
Well, I also was pitching that we should probably answer this question. And in my headcanon map, I kind of think like town, and then the woods, and then a bunch of bear traps, and then the ranch. Right.
Yeah. I mean, well, there's also like the plant. There's also an abandoned lumber yard as well, which we haven't seen yet. But yeah.
Well, theoretically, I was following the deep claw marks in trees towards this car that was wedged in the trees. Which is like 2 really clear, lovely paired clues. So if we start there, and then the nest is somewhere on the forest line of the skeletal ranch, where do we go from there?
I think the idea that the claw marks on the trees and the vehicle being wedged in a tree probably indicates that you probably you start to make a good case that that the the angel is somewhere in the woods and maybe up in the trees, or at least is comfortable in them, is clearly capable of getting up high. Do you want to use any other clues to kind of just like say like, yes, this is definitely like where we think it is, like a specific place in the forest, maybe something that might lead you to it?
I had a thing that uses one clue and an early established rumor. Don't know if it works though. We'd established at the beginning of this that the skeletons were eating the grave dirt rather than cannibalizing bodies.
Yeah.
And then looking at the clue of the spilled sack of Chitterling's brand hollowed hog feed with rapid growth, questioning whether the skeleton family is harboring it. They're burying it inside of some coffin or grave site, and it goes out to feed on the meat at the plant, returns, they're then gathering up whatever excrement or scraps or whatever.
So you're saying it's not in the trees, then it's somewhere, or maybe like are we suggesting it's somewhere in the trees around the skeleton place? Like,
yeah, like how I don't know how close the trees come to their house. Is it
I mean, I think the idea here is just that these clues lead you to the nest, right? I think that's the idea, right? Like if we were following these clues, we would get to the nest. I think this is the way the clues are used here. And so maybe the spilled sack of Chitterling brand hollowed hog feed leads somewhere, or I don't know. But in any case, I feel like we're just kind of dancing around something here without saying sort of definitively where we think the thing is.
So off camera, I don't know why Sister Quarrel would be interested in this angel, or if she had in context mentioned, like, or if we knew that she had entered into town from the skeletal ranch. The litter wedged into the tires of her bike, I was making a pitch that it could have been traction. That through the paths of the skeletal ranch, they put down litter to for the tractor to actually get enough traction to actually pull. The earth is too soft. You know, like you throw sand down on ice.
Yeah.
Which means it would have to have a place high in the woods. So we're looking for the tallest trees on the edge of the skeletal land.
The skeleton. So and we have indicated that there are tall trees.
I think there is the rumors that Cousin Skeleton has a nest. If the angels are, or the angel or whatever it is hanging out in the trees, then if Skeleton is drawing inspiration from that and is kind of thinking like nests, birds, like things are high up, I want to replicate what is going on up in the trees. Similarly, like the wind chimes of scrap metal and glass are maybe not so much wind chimes, but like if they're hanging from high places, they are alarms for people who might be climbing into the trees. Kind of like the tripwires with cans around a premises, that type of thing, but they're high above, so they kind of look like wind chimes, but they're there to in case somebody is climbing into the tree and knocks it around to create sound and set off the alarm that somebody's trying to get up where the angel is, steal its eggs or whatever the case is.
Interesting.
I have a slightly different pitch on the wind chimes that I thought of while you brought them into the conversation. What if they're like the reflective ribbons that we attach to houses when we don't want birds to fly into glass? What if the reflective quality of the light and the metal is keeping the angel away? Like warding.
Sure, yeah. And even the commotion of the things. Yeah, it's not so much an alarm that's protecting the thing, but it's like keep the angel out of this area with flashing
Which I think that's probably a relevant clue for the next question, whatever it is. But I'm not sure that like
Oh.
I'm not sure that speaks to like where the nest is,
Whatever
though,
it
right?
is.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying like it doesn't really speak to like where the nest is. I mean, that's the basic
Oh,
question we
yeah.
have to solve here. Like, where is the nest, right? I mean, it's a pretty simple question. You don't need a lot of clues here to like just say, oh, we follow the tracks to this or something like that, right? Like, I don't think it's that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that complicated. Like, I
All
don't
right,
think it's
so
yeah.
we lay out a map and we
Mhm.
mark everywhere that anybody's seen deep claw marks in the
Right.
trees, and
Yes.
then we triangulate.
And then you triangulate. Yes. So that's a good use of that clue.
Yeah.
The vehicle wedged in the branches of the tree maybe indicates like particularly strong activity.
How about this? The headlights are aimed at its nest.
Oh, that's perfect. I love that. That's really good. Yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah. Okay. Now we're cooking with Crisco. I feel like this is good use of the clues. It's flat roll unless you want to work any more in.
I think we worked in Cousin Skeleton's nest as an observation emulation thing, right?
I'm into that. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Like this idea that like Cousin Skeleton has a good view of it as well, just to further help you like pin down the big tall tree where the nest is at. That would be a +1. Looking pretty good so far. Anybody want to take the roll, or do you want to keep going?
I think Brian should roll it
Why do you think that?
because of the headlights.
Oh, Mike, were you going to say something?
+1 it is.
All right. 7.
7. So let's read this for people who are paying attention, I guess, and curious. The moves say, answer a question. When the custodians have an open, freewheeling discussion about the answer to a question and reach a consensus, roll plus the number of clues incorporated into the answer, minus the complexity. So it's complexity 2, you got 3 clues, so it's +1. You got a 7, you said?
Yes.
You are correct, and the opportunity can be pursued, so you will get the next questions. But I will add an unwelcome complication to the answer, and or pursuing the opportunity will be more dangerous. Now, I think the tricky thing here is that you all are split up right now, and it's unclear when you would have had this conversation about where, like when this conversation is happening. Basically, the complication is going to be the first time you try to reach the nest, by whenever you all get back together to have this discussion, or and you try to reach the nest. I think that the angel will be ready for you. The angel like knows and is watching you, because several of you are being watched, right? So if you don't want to avoid like being counter tracked by the angel, you can all write a verse to bump it up to a 10. But if you're satisfied with the 7, we can keep that. So
we have the verse of the dreaming nest too, right?
that one of you can mark, yes.
Oh, that doesn't count for all 4 of us. Okay.
No.
I have a question
Mhm.
before I decide about that, because Zeph is right there
I know.
as of where we
you
left
are
that
there.
scene.
Yeah.
And so are you in your complication
Maybe.
saying that maybe. Cool.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Are you being
Excellent.
watched right now, Zeph?
Yeah.
Very likely then. Yes, we'll say.
Then I'm gonna hang out here because I think this is good role play.
Okay. But you're correct. Let's get the next question. Give you some clues. The next questions are, let me find it really quickly. So there are 2 questions that now unlock. How is the angel bound to the skeleton family? Complexity 4. Resolve the assignment by weakening, driving away, or destroying the angel, disrupting the cycle of dependency so that the skeleton family might survive on their own again. Alternatively, what purpose drives the angel? That's a complexity 6. Resolve the assignment by freeing the angel from the skeleton family and showing it something else it can protect instead. A forest landmark, a group of wild creatures, a dangerous place or secret in need of a guardian. This unlocks a brand new move called the Dusk Mother's Embrace. I will transfer all that over in a bit. Oh, just looks like somebody already did it. Never mind. You got a lot of clues. Do you want to have a go at one of these, or do you want to keep? We can keep going investigating a little bit. Everybody's in kind of a situation right now. Zeph might be in some trouble. We'll see about Zeph, and I'm going to pick up with Zeph. But yeah, let's just do that. Zeph, I think you're maybe starting to realize between the tree, the claw marks in the trees, the fact that this car is in the trees is maybe not, is indicating that there's a lot of like angel activity in this area. You might even see the shape of the angel on wings gliding down from some spot that the headlights are fixed on. Indeed, you quickly see over you a looming shadow with wings of twilight and eyes like twin moons. The wrath of the heavens which crushes flesh and bone in silver talons, striking in the moment between heartbeats. It's not nighttime, but the forest is dark. It is silent. The creature, the angel, is swooping down upon you, soft and silent. Merciful death. Perhaps to bring food to her brood. What do you do, Zeph?
I think that Zeph waits. I just stand still, waiting to make eye contact. I think that in this moment of dread, perhaps, that Zeph doesn't necessarily fear death, but also knows that the Cairn Maiden's been kindest to me when I have been patient and quiet.
This is going to be the revelation move. It's going to be with communion. It's going to be made at disadvantage. I do want to know what you're afraid is going to happen if this tactic does not work.
I think it's I'm not remembering the eating of the liver, feasting on
Zeus and
eternally,
the eagles.
kind of like
yeah.
the Cairn Maiden and I have very interesting relationships to death, and I don't know if it would come as quickly as I would like.
Zeph bound to a tree, having their liver eaten over and over again. Very intriguing indeed. My goodness, how is it worse than that? It's worse than that because the Cairn Maiden will cause you to come alive and die, and then come alive and die painfully over and over again, back and forth forever. Do roll. Unless you want to just run. You can run and avoid the roll.
Ooh. God, I have to roll. I think that's what Zeph would do.
Okay.
Disadvantage. Okay. That's still. I don't think I add anything to my revelation move, so that's an 8.
Oh, okay. Intriguing. We'll come back to this. Basil, I don't think we ever got dice on the table for you. You're there looking at meat slurry, filthy factory floor. You hear that high keening grind of machinery. You see poor animals, angels of some agrarian god, being sacrificed at the altar of sloppy capitalism and slurry capitalism. You can make the information move if you want.
I would love to.
It's going to be with, I'll give it to you with focus, but because of being watched by the plant, just being watched is the specific condition, to be clear. You're going to make it a disadvantage.
I'm just checking to see if I have anything that would make. Oh, I've got these butcher's diagrams for extinct and otherworldly creatures.
Okay. How's that going to help?
So it's going to help in that I am going to the slaughter floor. And I think maybe this is going to allow me to identify, to key in on if there's something, because what I'm looking for is something unusual that would be attracting the angel here to like feed on whatever is going on. So I think that these diagrams would, if I'm browsing, shuffling through them, would give me some insight to like maybe these things look, the creatures that they're slaughtering look fairly normal, but like what is peculiar about them?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like that.
This
I'm
would
into it.
help
Yeah,
me
I'm
figure
into
that
it.
out.
All right, so that'll negate the disadvantage, and so you roll 2d6 plus your focus of 2. Good
Cool.
roll. Solid roll.
And it's a good thing I did that. Well, who knows? But it's a 6 plus 2, so it's an 8.
Okay, we'll come back to that in a moment. Gage, baby is eating a sweet treat. Oh, baby, 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 baby.
Yes, it's yummy, isn't it? Hasn't even hit the shelves
Baby,
yet.
what are you doing? You are going to spoil your dinner. And
Oh, I'm sorry.
you
I
hear the
can't
shuffle of her
resist a cute.
dress, of Sister's dress along the floor. I know you were just being kind, Mr. Gage, was it?
Mr. Wright, but
Mr.
Gage is
Wright.
fine.
But baby has to have proper nutrition supplied to him by our mother.
Oh, I assure you, the Jolly Crunch bars are full of everything a growing boy needs.
We don't keep with those manufactured, highly processed foods, no offense. We like to take things from the land and from mother.
Of course. Well, mother knows best, right?
Oh, yes, she does indeed. Now let's get you over to the dining room table. Get everything situated. It's time to eat. And brother comes in and hauls you in. When you get to the dining room, you see that cousin is already like perched on top of the dining table. Baby is just crawling around. She looks at you and she says, "Since you've shown such a keen interest, Mr. Wright, would you like to feed baby?"
Oh, I'm sure that would be my honor.
Oh, good. Excellent, excellent. And she, she brings in like a plate full of there's like, it's just a normal meal. I mean, like it there's side dishes and potatoes and things like that, and some meat. And baby crawls up to you and opens his mouth, baby, and opens his mouth wide. And everyone is kind of looking at you expectantly. Cousin kind of snickers. We
Just
we feed in the manner taught to us by our mother.
well, please help me out here.
Well, you go ahead and take a bite.
Ah,
Get a little bit of
yes.
everything, a bit of meat, a bit of potato, some of the gravy. Baby, baby.
Gage will do it.
Chew that up. And then feed baby in the manner taught to them by their mother. Do you?
Yep.
I would like the failed move. What do you afraid is going to happen if you lose your composure here?
I offend them with my vomit.
I love it. This is going to be with focus. I think your injured leg is probably not helping matters. You're probably feeling a little woozy and not particularly clear-headed. Please go ahead and make this roll with focus, but at disadvantage.
That is 7.
Okay.
We're gonna invite you back for dinner every
Baby
night.
eats with great relish as he receives the food from your mouth. And at one point, Baby cranes his neck to lick just a little bit of gravy that's dribbled down onto your lower lip. How's all of this making you feel right now, Gage Wright?
Oh, nauseated.
You can take that as a condition, but you are pretty well ensconced in the Skelton family at this point. You have done the work. They'll ask you a little bit about what you're doing out here. What do you tell them?
I think he's more or less honest about trying to make connections with the community and get a grapple with what's going on with this angel.
Yeah. They're a little dodgy about that. I don't think they want to talk about Mother too much. I think they understand that the authorities don't love this, but they will kind of confirm one of the other clues, which you're not aware of personally, but the group is aware of out of character, which is Mother has started to be something of a guardian angel throughout Weft. Indeed, Japheth, as you are putting away your very fancy salves, you might glimpse in a window of people feeding each other in the manner taught to them by their mother.
This town. Now I think I know how Dennis got his abscesses.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yep.
What do you do from here?
Oh man. I almost feel like it has to be getting close to dusk. How are we on time of day? Is there time to walk to the wood factory?
Oh yeah, if you want. I mean, yeah, if you want to. It's still pretty early in the day. I mean, because
Okay.
all that other stuff at the factory was happening right when the shift started. So
Yeah, I'm getting the word wrong. It's not a wood factory. What was it called?
there was like an
Lumberyard?
abandoned. Yeah, I mean, it's probably. I mean, certainly it's after lunch. I mean, because of what's going on at the Skeltons, but it's still fairly early in the day, I would say.
Yeah, I think I'll go poke at a lumberyard.
Okay, that sounds good. I also want to point out at this point that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pretty good 6 clues. I still owe one. You can just like that clue that I owe you, Gage, you can just kind of editorialize it however you want, but it's just this idea that Mother has started to minister to other families as well, not just the Skeletons. Basil, do I owe you a clue? Let me take a look real quick. What'd you get in your die roll?
Mixed result.
As you're looking around, let me cross this out. You'll notice that here and there are multi-winged effigies of twig and feather placed inside the factory as if watching from above. I will paste that for you. And at this point, I think I want to play with saveur de viande, meat savor, viande. I don't know how to pronounce French things. You are going to come upon a group of fellows making their lunch. They are currently engaged in a form of worship of the chitterling that is little known. One where you take leavings from the chitterling in an effort to use every part of the pig, and you make secret stew. You'll see them doing this, collecting the bits, putting them in a pot off to the side of the factory floor, giving praise to the chitterling, using all manner of spices and seasonings that you have never seen before. This might be the sort of thing you might want to write down so that it can then be lost. But this is the waxen scrivener. The waxen scrivener would be pleased indeed with the recording and loss of this information. What do you do?
Yeah, I think I'm going to just kind of sit down with them and participate, ask questions, ask what they're making, how they're making it. Perhaps provide a little advice if it feels like they're not optimizing their culinary technique to its full potential. Maybe they'll appreciate a little bit extra oomph to their sacrifice to the chitterling as well. And yeah, as you say, like the whole time just kind of writing down notes and just dropping them on the floor.
Yeah, I like it. This is probably a good justification for the information move, honestly. An information move with either presence or communion. Because of what you're engaged with right now.
It does feel like a presence moment. I will.
It does.
Or sorry, a communion moment.
Do a mark ink?
Honestly, what do I get when I mark ink here?
Let's see. Whenever you're instructed to mark ink, either by a move or I can just make you mark ink. Yeah, we'll mark ink.
Okay.
But otherwise, roll information move with communion.
Cool.
I'm not even going to make saveur de viande affect you negatively.
Oh, wow. Yeah, let's just do this. It is an 8 minus 1, so that's a 7.
Get you another clue, and I think that'll probably wrap up the investigation here.
Yeah, makes sense.
I owe a clue Japheth is going to the abandoned lumber mill. Gage, you're kind of situated with skeletons for a bit because of your injury. Zeph Harrow, where did we leave you? Oh, you are currently... What'd you get in your die roll, Zeph?
Okay, so I do have a question about that because it was an 8 with disadvantage, but it was a revelation as opposed to an information move. Do I apply my stats? Like, would it have been a communion?
Well, so, I mean, you should have rolled with I think I had you rolling with communion because of.
Then I also got a 7. Still a mid roll, but just the number
Okay.
of the session is ridiculous.
You keep it together. But curiously, this angel, which appears to you in your vision first as a large black bird, but as it gets closer, it actually takes on a more velvety appearance, velvety like the night, pinpricked as with stars. And it floats down over you. And then you see in your peripheral vision behind you the long, elegant fingers of the Cairn Maiden tugging at the corners of this velvety night, wrapping it around you. I'm going to give you a condition called the embrace.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, you snap out of it and you don't see the angel or the Cairn Maiden. There's still the car and the trees.
Actually, as a reaction to this encounter, I think Zeph would begrudgingly climb back up the branches and go work with that body.
Oh, very good. So you do take your condition, the embrace.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to do the work of burying this very kind of dangerous body that's covered in spores, but I like it. I think this is going to be the revelation move to successfully bury the body and not. What are you scared is going to happen if this goes badly?
I still think the spore lung is what Zeph is most afraid of. It's that like festering, like fungal infestation.
I tend to agree. Go ahead and and apart from just being, I think it's worse. You'll just be consumed by it. Go ahead and roll with vitality, but just regular dice.
Okay. That's a 3.
A 3.
Uh-huh.
You take the body out of the car. That takes some doing, right? Because it's up high. But you manage to get up there and loosen it enough for it to fall down. You make your way down. There's a puff of spores. You're doing your best to keep them out. But the spores are wrapping around you, much like the embrace that you just witnessed, the embrace that inspired you to do the Cairn Maiden's work. But this embrace is the embrace of writhes beneath the loam. And writhes beneath the loam is working its way into your nostrils, into your tear ducts, into your ears, into your mouth. Eventually, you just embrace writhes beneath the loam and you inhale deeply. The body is buried easily because the soil here is quite soft. The hole, of course, is filled with fungus. And you climb inside the hole with the body, embracing it, and then pulling the dirt down on top of you. Having been touched by 3 gods, now you can lay down your concerns forever.
Or I mark the verse of the whispered poem.
Oh. Whispered psalm.
Psalm, thank you.
Poem would be something
Sorry,
really
I'm
different.
choking on my own words right now. Sarah tried so hard not to cough during all of that.
The Whispered Psalm says you narrate a flashback to the first time the maiden appeared to you. You see the maiden in your dreams most nights and sometimes waiting on the horizon. I love it. A couple of you owe Whispered Psalm narrations. You all have a lot of clues. We're going to check in on this lumber yard really quickly. An abandoned lumber mill. Japheth, gravel roads, abandoned pickup trucks, and hulking rusted machinery. Log piles taller than cabins, sprouting with triumphant fungal blooms, the scent of mildew, sawdust, gasoline. Let's paint the scene. How have the trees in this region grown strange, and what makes their lumber particularly unsafe for any practical use?
The branches of these trees are so knotted and kind of crooked that there isn't a straight enough edge. You couldn't run it through a mill to get actually enough usable lumber because everything is so disjointed.
There's bones embedded in the heartwood and odd veins in the pith, like fleshy veins rather than tree veins.
I think the wood itself, if you were to cut it, is so brittle and almost pressurized that if you were to use anything with any kind of force behind it, it would explode, sending shrapnel everywhere.
I missed the prompt here. Sorry, I was thinking about something.
Why are these trees so horrible and unusable for practical purposes?
I think there's like a sap that runs through them that is almost like oil. Um, just like a black kind of like sticky crude. Yeah.
Japheth, pleasant place to be. What do you do?
Mm-hmm. If it's seemingly abandoned, I want to dig into the buildings and see if I can find out, I don't know, a bit of why, like any remnants of bookkeeping paperwork, somebody's locker, an unattended vending machine still plugged in.
Getting inside the mill itself is not too much trouble. You might get some indication of what's going on as soon as you cross the threshold, because inside it is a kingdom of towering fungal blooms, stalks creeping up on all surfaces, mushrooms like copses of trees taking over the interior space. Furthermore, you can sense that this fungus is aware of you. In this world, most things like this are aware of you. I think for you to proceed inside the mill any further will require the revelation move.
I am up for that.
What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
Ooh, this is the last anyone ever sees of Japheth until decades from now. An unusual piece of furniture turns up on a market at auction, and somebody notices that there's little teeth kind of in a decorative row running down the table legs of this little sort of end table.
I'm not sure I can do worse than that, so I will let you go ahead and roll the revelation move. Disadvantage because of being watched, please. And
Oh,
it's going to
man.
be with focus.
6. Oh, thank God for focus. It's a 7.
Very good. Oh, interesting, interesting. As a condition of going inside, and indeed a condition you're going to put on your page, you have to take some of the fungal rot into your body.
Alrighty.
Describe what that looks like, please.
Ooh. I think this time it's accidental. It's not intentional. It's not me trying to heal someone. I'm passing through the lumber mill to start looking and going down stairs, lose my footing on some of the slimy fungus, grab the handrail, and then splinter goes right in. And yeah, to me, a splinter is nothing. I just kind of bite it, pull it out with my teeth, spit it out. But that's the first infestation.
Let's take a 10-minute break. Maybe be thinking about the solution to the questions. I know I still owe you a clue. And also presumably Japheth is going to do some investigating, but I would start thinking about possible answers just so you start getting something pulled together here. And also, if you owe a verse narration, please be thinking of that as well. I will see you all on the hour. I still owe you a clue, Basil, for the conversation that these men have. I'm going to let it be just kind of a floating clue, and as you're all coming together with an answer for the question that you're going to pursue, you can shape that clue to fit, to conform to whatever your answer is going to be. Whatever, something that the men say or do that, or well, not just men and women say or do that might make you think that or might give you a sense of what's going on. I'm also going to wrap up this scene, Japheth. I know you were looking for an information move, but I actually think when you get there, you see someone wearing a wide-brimmed rancher's hat with green-tinted glasses, smoking. They are collecting samples of this fungus and putting it in labeled jars. Do you make an effort to stay hidden from this person, or do you acknowledge them or try to get their attention?
I think I'm gonna close in and see what I can see on my way towards them. But then at the point they notice me, just treat it as sort of a friendly, like, "Hey there," and I'll wing it from there.
They stand up. They give you a tip of the hat. They've just finished gathering up all their stuff.
Say this stuff. I'm no expert. This seems trepidatious. This fungus here. Are you wearing gloves? You might want to wear gloves.
He smiles. Says, I appreciate that advice, Mr. De Los Santos.
Say we've met before. I usually have a good memory for those that I've met and assisted.
No, we've never met formally, face to face. My name is Gideon Marsh. I'm a friend of the family. And he gives you a friendly nod and then leaves.
Mr. Marsh, we should talk again sometime soon.
There's no reply. But out of character, that's your second conspiracy clue. Gideon Marsh, friend of the family, collecting fungus samples.
Okay.
And that will wrap up. I think that's going to wrap up your session, or as far as your scenes go. I think we should just move straight and answer a question. Zeph, did you have something else? Or Zeph, you also need to narrate you're not burying yourself alive with a
Yeah. Yes, that's very much what I was going to bring up.
Yeah. You want to go ahead and do your whispered psalm?
I certainly can. But just to be clear, do I get like some sort of complication now that I've bumped up the
what was you were just burying body, right? Per the Karen Maiden's wishes. So just unmark fate, and
excellent.
You're good to go.
So I was able to accomplish that.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. If you want to just give us the whispered psalm and then also narrate the actual conclusion of that scene, that would be great.
So the whispered psalm is the first time that Zeph has experienced any kind of interaction with the Karen Maiden. And we flash back to a stick skinny 11 or 12-year-old kid playing on the edge of a riverbank. And you see them barefoot leaping from one smooth rock to another until their foot catches on one that's grown over with green. And you see them slip. And what Zeph experiences is just like this crack and a flash, cold, bright light. And then several moments later, the diffused shadows of the vision kind of fade into brightness and little twinkling lights, and then focus in on the dark hooded expression of the Cairn Maiden, her hand outstretched like she had just brushed a bloodied lock of hair wet off my face.
I love it.
And as we see Zeph come to in that verse, once again, Zeph comes to gasping and coughing out of the black of the Dusk Mother's embrace, and proceeds to just push the corpse into the loam. Kicks a little dirt over the top of it, and then carefully places 3 stones in a triangle and 1 on top.
You can go ahead and unmark your fate box. Shall we go ahead and move to answer a question? I think, Gage, do you want to do you all want to get together at this point, or Gage, are you hanging out with skeletons longer?
I think Gage would be in a pretty big hurry to meet up with Japheth.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You may not be able to get around too easily because you're a lag, but I think that the skeletons are fine people, and they will apologize for what happened to you. But note that Mother works in mysterious ways because, well, they consider you a friend. Baby. And I think it's a good time for everyone to kind of come back together in Weft. The factory getting about their workday. Zeph having done some work for the Cairn Maiden. Japheth encountering the mysterious Gideon Marsh. It's late in the day. Do we want to answer this question? Or one of the questions? We can review the clues too really quickly. Dennis Rigsby's severed pig's foot in his pocket. Sister Quarrel has down and litter wedged in the tires of her bike. We have the wind chimes outside the factory. We have the spilled sack of Chitterling brand hallowed hog feed. Mother has started to act as a guardian to more of Weft than just the skeletons. We have these signs that are just further evidence of that. We have these multi-winged effigies inside the factory, and then a kind of floating clue that Mike will tell us when the time is right.
So, if we're going with what purpose drives the angel, so this town seems to be based mostly around industry involving meat. What if the angel is acting as a too aggressive scarecrow? It is driving away the animals. We saw the cameras in the woods looking for the deer watching cameras.
And Ridley said
No.
there's nothing, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So if the angel is driving away all the animals or disrupting livestock, then the meat plant would obviously have a problem, which would make Weft suffer. So that's just where I'm starting from. I'm having a bit of a tough time working in all the clues.
I'm just looking through some of like like what are some like big points of commonality between the clues. One of the things I'm like kind of catching is there's sort of scraps of things everywhere. There's like this severed pig's foot, there's down and litter just in the tires of a bike, there's
Big
random
energy,
like
right?
there's yeah, it just like there's scraps of things everywhere, essentially. I don't know. I don't have a story for that, but I'm just kind of like looking for like what are some of the things that tie big hunks of our clues together. There's a lot of like these warning signs too, or like a few of those. Between the effigies that are watching from above, the signs about mother sleeping and all of that kind of thing, and um the wind chime alarms, and that also kind of ties into the trail cam thing too.
Well, I'll tell you
Um,
what, we're getting a little long. We're getting close to time. And so we can take the week to think about the solution. Maybe even confer with some viewers. That might be fun if you're
ooh,
watching the video. If you are one of the 90 people watching the video and you want to chime in with your thoughts on what's
We'll
going on,
theorize in the actual
theorize.
place Discord.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. Go to the Discord and theorize with us.
Those
I think
were
that could be a lot of fun. I would love to have that last whispered psalm that I'm owed from Gage, and then we'll go to end of session.
Okay. So my whispered psalm is to narrate a flashback to the time you were initiated into the rites of harvest on your family's farm. A preteen Gage stands in the field, shirtless and barefoot. Ropes made of corn husks are wound around his arms and waist, binding him to a T-shaped pole set out in the empty field. An older woman stands before him, tears of pride shining in her eyes. "Remember, honey," she says, reaching out and putting her hand affectionately on his cheek. "Whatever he says to you, even when it doesn't make sense, it's always true." She puts her hand on his chest. "Listen with this, not with your ears." Gage smiles bravely, but you can see the fear in his eyes. She raises a small bowl of thick yellowish syrup to his lips. "Swallow it quick. This isn't just corn syrup." Gage swallows, his eyes squeeze shut as the foul taste hits his tongue. His mother steps back and with a clear and loud voice says, "Hear me, old Jack, father of the field. We offer up our seedling unto you, that you may fill his heart with new growth. See him with your countless eyes, and you will find him worthy. Hear him with your 1,000 ears, and you will know his truth. Teach him of the cycle that he may grow, and when he dies, take him back into your arms that he may grow again in your service." Without another word, she turns and leaves. As the sun sets, Gage hears whispering from the ground. His eyes widen as corn stalks sprout from the empty field around him, reaching out and caressing him as the whispers and rasps transform into words he can't understand, but he comprehends anyway. He cries out as the corn's roots wind up his legs, piercing his skin as the sun seems to rise and set faster and faster. When he dies, like the corn around him dies, he rots and disintegrates and is absorbed by the earth, only to sprout again. The next morning, his parents help him down from the pole, hugging him and telling him how proud they are. Gage's face is impassive, emotionless, except for the smile that slowly grows on his face. Together, they walk through the field. His bare feet step over a small mound in the dirt. His toe catches just briefly on something just under the surface, revealing a pale, dirty hand.
Bravo. End of session. Let's go straight to end of session questions. You have not completed an assignment yet, so no one gets credit for that one. Zeph, Harrow, did you engage with a god, angel, or otherwise divine manifestation? I would say so.
Couple of them.
Yes, you did. Japheth, did you engage with a god, angel, or other divine manifestation?
I don't know about Gideon or mushrooms.
The
Not sure.
mushrooms, probably the fungus, yeah.
Yeah.
Basil Lachamp, did you engage with a god, angel, or other divine manifestation?
The angels are all getting slaughtered.
That's a
I'm not buying it, but this is
I'm not
partly
buying
me
it.
like
Yeah.
sorting out like what are we
Oh
calling
no,
angels
for sure.
within
No, yeah.
this realm,
I think
right?
if you had directly engaged with them, I
Yeah,
think I would
okay.
probably give you credit for it.
Okay, cool.
Gage Wright, ambassador of Sweet Jolly Crunch Tooth, did you engage with a god, angel, etc.?
I'm not sure dinner with the skeletons counts,
I
but
think so. Not quite.
feel like I should get one for that.
You should get something, right? Maybe next time. Let's keep going. Zeph Harrow, did you deliver a monologue about any of the following? The nature of gods, the futility of individual choices in the face of indifferent powers, the horrors that society accepts as good and necessary.
Nope.
Did you struggle with your personal faith? Yes,
Absolutely.
you did. Japheth de los Santos, did you go out of your way to connect with the local community? The local community definitely connected with you.
I was going to say that was my plan,
yeah.
standing in that street. Yeah.
Yeah, you can take it. Did you deliver the monologue?
If Sister Coral hadn't punched me in the jaw, I was just getting started.
You were ready to. You were winding up while she was winding up. Basil Lachamp, did you go out of your way to connect with the local community? Yes, you did, by having stew with the folks.
Yep.
Did you undermine the orders of your superiors or use the assignment to pursue personal interests?
I did use the assignment to pursue personal interests. I was leaning hard into that of like trying to come up with a recipe for the god.
Yep. I love it. Gage Wright. Yes, you certainly went out of your way to connect with the local community. there's your XP for feeding baby. Did you undermine the orders of your superiors to use the assignment to pursue personal interests?
I did not get the chance. No.
Very well. I think we are good to go as far as all that goes. Let's keep going here. Do we have any moves that resolve at the end of session?
I'm not. It's not a move so much, but as we're gathering back in Weft, presumably sitting around some table or on a bench, Japheth says, "You will not believe the things I've seen today," and then he'll kind of like absently suck on the fungal splintery bit.
Very good for your sore-ridden mouth. I think that's very wise. Good behavior. Let's go to Stars and Wishes. Whoever wants to go first. I'll go first. Stars, I just love this game. I love this game. This game just does everything I want to do in role-playing games. I love the setting. I love the way I'm going to say the game specifically, though, because I love the way that the stuff on the character sheets informs your role play and informs my role play. And it's just great fun. I really like these characters already quite a lot. And there's just a nastiness, a rural kind of Southern Gothic kind of thing going on. There's like a folk horror thing going on. There's a little bit of like Deliverance type horror. There's a little bit of like quite a lot of body horror, quite a lot of it's just good. And yet what I find is really interesting is that none of the characters you've encountered, even Sister Quarrel, really, none of them are like particularly threatening or dangerous. They're just they're just folks, you know, which I find really fascinating. So yeah.
Ben, that was a great facial expression.
I mean, baby did almost eat my hand.
He did. That's true. But he's, he's a child. What's he supposed to do? He is, and I think
Teething
babies,
can be a monster.
teething can be real, real trouble. No, just I love it. I love the game. I love the setting. I think you're all leaning into your characters and giving us great scenes already so early in the campaign. And I don't have any individual stars that pop to mind. But well, I thought the Whispered Psalm verses were quite good and enjoyable. Really, really love that. Um, yeah, but overall, just really, 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 really fun, good time. And for wishes, I'm just curious. I really want to do the journey phase. I'm excited to see the journey phase.
I'll
All right,
I'll
I
go.
love it.
Oop. Okay.
Ben.
I thought all the NPCs were so much fun to interact with, and I really enjoyed the just the variety of scenes we all had, from as you said, like Deliverance style horror to darker things, to very uh not particularly Silt versy in its content, but really satisfying watching a lover's quarrel have some collateral damage. And just I thought it was great. Just a lot going on. And yeah, the system, the parts of the character sheet, they're so evocative. Getting to see some of our verses was a lot of fun. And I'm going to be turning over the assignment question for most of the week. Looking forward to seeing what comes of that.
I was really blown away by both your whispered psalms. Those were excellent. Really great images that I want to see how those characters' backstories play out. So applause for those. Uh, Ben, your tone of voice with that nervous "mother knows best," right? Kind of just right on a quaver. Um, and the it didn't really kind of come to pass, but the image of Zeph as Prometheus uh, was a really good, creepy, gross potential outcome. And I absolutely love those the idea of the wind chimes as an alarm of like, don't go up here. That was pretty cool.
I think Star to the Whispered Psalms, of course, I want to do like a little like in the weeds granular star for the prayer in there. Ben to old Jack was just like on point with like the cadence and the verbiage of like that kind of thing. Like as you were reading that, I was like giving me weird flashbacks and coming from like a weird offshoot sect of Christianity. So yeah, really nice job on that. The I think my big star is just like seeing the skeletons. They feel like they're kind of the heart and soul of this assignment. And Jason, the way you play it, of course, is really wonderful, especially baby. And the many different ways that you said baby is something that I think anyone can take inspiration from. Wish is
I want to point out here that I rewrote Baby from Gabriel's draft to be an adult. Gabriel's draft, Baby
oh,
was originally a baby, and I was like, no, Baby has to be a grown ass man wearing a diaper.
love it. I think my wish is honestly, it's a little bit of a selfish wish. Like I'm just like really interested in Basil's recipe thing, and I want to get to the floating market. So I think we're going to see a journey scene to sort of like expand and explore on that a little bit. My other wish is that I just fail a roll so that I can use Verse of Prophecy. Like I have yeah, like it's just feels like I've got all of this stuff that's like backed up where it's just like I just need to
You
check a
can bump
couple
up any roll. It
boxes.
doesn't have to be a
I
miss.
can. I probably just should. But then I'm a little bit worried about just rationing as well. But yeah, like it's so on my mind and there's been so many moments where it's just kind of like Oh, the backstory is so fitting here. If I could just, so I will cross one of those off. That's my wish.
I'm stuck on the phrase God gastronomy now. um, God, just real specific stars. The description of your abscesses bursting as the response to Coral's punch, exactly the kind of visceral body horror that I'm expecting from this, and I just so like on point. Tiny star for Ben in that scene when you're just, do you like sweeties? It's just the right wrong thing to say, offering a, whether he's a grown-ass man or not, a child candy is like generally frowned upon, and just the perversion of it was fun for me, and a star. And tiny chat star, we were all throwing around Gage Wright puns because we were saying that you weren't going to have any limbs by the end of it, and it was the Gage no right limbs that really was a nickname. It's a tiny star. Also a star for Jason in establishing what time it was. You said, well, it's obviously after lunch, given what was going on at the Skeleton Ranch. So that was great. Also, I loved the nonchalance in which, Brian, you infected Japheth with a splinter and just sucked it right out, because as a poxmartyr, you have no care for any kind of sanitation. And I think that's just like great part of the playbook. I have wishes. I still need to see where we sit in the van. So I'm looking forward to that journey scene too. But we absolutely have to check the mask on the next assignment, because I have a product to
Or the
pitch.
verse,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm really, oh yes, I have a product. It's really great, and we need to check it. I'm going to fail a roll intentionally.
Again, you can mark it for any die roll. It does not have to be a missed die roll. Fantastic. I love it. Any other stars or wishes? Okay.
Oh, actually, I do have one. It occurred to me as you were discussing the recipes and the your foodiness, Mike, that actually the wax and scrivener and the concept of eating, this fleeting experience
Mhm.
that you enjoy and then allow to pass through, is so perfect for the wax and scrivener. I didn't pick up on that at first.
Mhm.
Well played.
Before we go, we see a scene. The lavish interior of some private study. The corners of the room are speckled with mildew. A suited figure sits at an immense desk of dark polished wood. There are various artifacts mounted on the walls. The study window, faintly tarnished, looks out over a swathe of purple-brown bog, dotted with reddish fungal blooms. Bring, 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 bring. The figure picks up the phone, an antique, listening keenly, swirling a glass of deep red wine. What news of our good associates in the field? Engaging with stray gods directly, and still untarnished. How interesting. Well done. They should be perfectly suitable to our needs. Do be sure to extend our full hospitality, won't you? That's right. All assets are on the table. We haven't got much time. The scene ends with a close-up of a fine ink pen, gracefully signing the name Sketterich with a flourish. I will see you all next time.